जगत् गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गंगे राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा. So welcome to the Bhaktyaloka series. If you remember, we have been discussing the two kinds of sadhus, the grahastas and the grahatyagis. And vritti means, propensity and lifestyle. Propensity is based on the sabhava. So we saw that how, based on the sabhava, one has the gross needs and the subtle needs, and then situating himself in the mode of goodness, slowly he should come to the Nirgun platform by which he can advance in devotional service. Very beautifully, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained this concept. And then, what is the lifestyle Grahastha has to emulate is based on following the previous Mahajans after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that is the Grahastha Vaishnavas during Chaitanya Lila. So he spoke about, I think, more than around 40 principles, if I remember. Yes, it's here 38, 39, 40. I know. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about the renunciates, how a renunciate should live. And now he's speaking about the common, which is both for grahasthas and the grahatyagis. In this, we saw the first one, to take initiation, and then we saw the second one is how to accept a spiritual master whom we should choose, and how to associate with only devotees. This is both for grahasthas and grahatyagis. Uh, yeah, we have to associate with you know, there are different sampradaya devotees, so we should always associate with those whom we are connected in our sampradaya. And Bhakti Siddhanta Viruddha Ara Rasabhas. One should not hear conclusions. So this is where we had completed discussion. Now I'm going to go through the sixth one, and one after another I'm going to go through these qualities. They are very simple, and I've been stressing that both for those who are in the community as grahasthas and those, the brahmacharis, the vanaprasthas, and the renunciate, one should make a point to note all these qualities, vrittis, and try to, try to practice this in our day to day, take each one of them, practice, and see how we are doing it. So now the sixth one should carefully gather all the good qualities needed for devotional service. And it is mentioned, Chaitanya Charitam, Maha Anubhavera Chittara Sabha यही है, Pushpa Sama Komal Kathina Khattinya Vajramaya. This is the nature of the mind of an uncommon personality. Sometimes it is soft like a flower, and sometimes it is hard like a thunderbolt. So this quality, Vajratapi Katora, Kusumadapi Komala is being mixed. The activities of the devotees is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Mahanta Swabhava e tarite pamara, nija karya nahi tabu yana tara ghara. It is a general practice of all saintly persons to deliver the fallen. Therefore, they go to people's houses, although they have no personal business there. So this is the, welfare activity he should conduct. not any other philanthropic activities, but this is the highest welfare activity. Okay, this is seventh one. By mistake, again, the numbering has changed. So this is the highest activity one should take up. And then uh, the Lord gives an example of how a devotee should pledge, how he should live. Prabhu kahe tumi nahi kichu bhai, yoga haila karibe, ayoga haila nahi. The Lord gave Bhattacharya assurance that he should speak without fear, but added that if his statement was suitable, he would accept it, and if were not, he would reject it. So this is how a devotee should pledge. I will accept your statements if they are true, but if they are not true, then I'll not accept. So this is because before the request, I think Chaitanya Bhattacharya request. Uh, you know, Mahaprabhu wanted to go. I think I don't know in which context in the Chaitanya Charitamrita this comes up. But any request, one should not take a vow that I will do what you say, Kshatriyas take that kind of vow. So, and then when they cannot maintain it, then it leads to extreme, cases. But this is how, if it is yogya, I will accept. If it is ayogya, I will not. I will reject it. Then, the benefits of dealing affectionately with the devotees are described in the Chaitanya Charita. Prabhu kahe tumi Krishna bhakat paradhan tomaka ei priti kare sei bhagyavan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, My dear Ramanand Rai, you are the foremost of all devotees of Krishna. Therefore, whoever loves you is certainly a very fortunate person. So, by loving the devotee, because that devotee is very dear to the Lord, we become very fortunate. So this is how we should deal affectionately with devotees. This is both for grahasthas and sannyasis. Firm determination to one's attachment is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now, firm determination has to be there. This is the 10th. Kintu anuragi lokera swabhava ek hai, ishta na paile nija prana na chadiya. Still, it is the nature of an attached man to give up his life if he does not attain his desired object. So this should be that if I don't attain Krishna, I will not be able to Rakibo na prana. Narottam Das Thakur in his bhajan is expressing this mood. So this should be our determination. Teaching others by one's good example is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Tumi bhala karyache shikhana anyare aimata bhala karma seho keno kare ye na kare. The Lord would say, You have done well, please teach this to others so that they may act in the same way. So, teaching by one's example, very, very important. There is a saying that, a percept is, an example is better than a percept. Yadyad acharati shreshta. By one's own acharan, conduct, one can teach. That is the best. That is the 11th one. If you have any questions as I'm going through it, please feel free to raise your hands. So the 12th one. The need for care and eagerness in the execution of devotional service is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yatagara vina bhakti na janmaye prema. Without sincere endeavor in devotional service, one cannot attain love of Godhead. So one should endeavor with a lot of sincerity in devotional service in order to attain success. And it is very important that we understand that ultimately our sadhana is our efforts to show our sincerity to Krishna, because bhakti is the Sarup Shakti of the Lord. Bhakti is, bhakti when it enters, it is the Shakti of the Lord. It is the Maha Shakti of the Lord. And, we are controlled by it. And then those divine emotions manifest. That is the Sadhya Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti. It is not a practice. But sadhana is a practice, sadhana bhakti, by which we show our sincere efforts to attain the mercy of the Lord. And Sadhya Bhakti, that is Bhava Bhakti, is actually bestowed by the Lord. It is mercy bestowed when the Lord's spiritual energy in the form of Ladini Shakti enters the heart of that sadhaka who has almost attained perfection. So there is, need to endeavor and show deep sincerity, and then Krishna seeing the sincerity, spiritual master seeing that sincerity blesses, and then Krishna bestows that pure devotion, that bhava. So without sincere endeavor, one cannot attain love. Bhava is, love. And of course, the next stage of bhava is prema. The need for giving up the association of logicians is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is again Prakashanand, he's saying, Tarkika Shrigala Sange Bhav Bhav Kari, Sei Muke Ebe Sada Kahe Krishna Hari. In the association of jackals known as logicians, I simply continue to bark a resounding sound, bark a resounding bhav bhav. Now from the same mouth, I am chanting the holy names of Krishna and Hari. So after he was transformed, he's saying, so one should be careful to give up the association of logicians because, you know, uh, by tarka, we cannot understand. Although there is, logic is useful as a tool, but that is Shastra Yukta, Yukti. That is called as Shastra Yukti. That logic is, you know, based on Shastra to understand Shastra. But simple, mere material logic by which you know, simply argue, that is not helpful. An example of unhappiness of seeing the distress of others is given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jivera dukha deki mora hridaya bidare, sarva jivera papa prabhu deho more shire, jivera paplan muni karon naraka bhoga, sakala jivera prabhu ghuchaye bhavaroga. This is Vasudev Datta, he's praying, my Lord, my heart breaks to see the suffering of all the conditioned souls. Therefore, I request you to transfer the karma of all sinful lives upon my head. My dear Lord, let me suffer perpetually in the hellish condition, accepting all the sinful reactions of all living entities. Please finish their diseased material life. Bhavarog. So this is you're none other than Prahlad. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says after. So this is how a genuine devotee feels compassion, seeing the suffering. The real suffering of the living entities is the suffering because of his disconnection with the relationship of the Lord. That is the root cause of all suffering. And by connecting back to Krishna, then we can become, you know, free from that suffering and experience happiness. The need for a pure heart is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sahaja nirmala ei brahmana hridaya krishnera vasite ei yogyasthan hai. The heart of a brahmana is by nature very clean. Therefore, it is the proper place for Krishna to sit. Now, this is in connection with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's solid law. I don't recollect his name. Amog. Yeah, Amog. And he, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is to invite Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and what 10 people can eat, he's to offer. And Sanyas Mahaprabhu is to say, how I can eat? Give me little simple rice and shak. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, out of love and devotion, is to say that, in the Jagannath temple, you're eating pounds and pounds. So please honor. So just to keep him happy, Mahaprabhu was having, but Amog came and saw, see the sannyasi, he's, he's a glutton, and he criticized. So that criticism is born out of envy. And that's why he got skin disease or some rogue he got. I don't recollect what skin disease he got. And later on, he was purified by the touch of Mahaprabhu. And then Mahaprabhu is saying this statement. The heart of a Brahmana is by nature very clean. Sahaja nirmala ei Brahmana hridaya. Therefore, it is a proper place for to sit Krishna. So you should not place in your heart envy or malice or other these qualities. Then Krishna cannot sit there. So one should try to develop a pure heart. One must give up envy or the distress arising from seeing others' prosperity. So envy is basically seeing others' prosperity, whether it is wealth or devotional wealth. We become envious, we become jealous. So one should give that up. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is described. Matsyara Chandala Kene Ihan Vasile Parama Pavitra Stan Apavitra Kaile. Why have you allowed the Chandal of jealousy to sit here also? In this way, you have contaminated the most purified place, your heart. So the heart is the most purified place where Krishna is supposed to sit. But in that heart, we have lust, anger, greed, envy. So this is, again, the same verse of continuation. So one should maintain a pure heart and be free from envy. Further instruction is being given. One must be staunch follower of Lord Chaitanya. We are followers of Lord Chaitanya. Prabhu lagi dharma karma chade bhaktagan bhakta dharma hani prabhura ha na hoy sahan. All the devotees would abandon all kinds of duties for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's sake. Yet the Lord did not like the devotees giving up their promised duties. So one should be a staunch follower like this. The need to completely abandon faults is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sei kene rakibe tomara shesha vishaya bhog roga khandi sad vaidya nara ke shesha rog. Why should Krishna allow you to maintain a last bit of material attachment? After vanquishing a disease, a good physician does not allow any of the disease to remain. So one should completely become free from all Vishaya Bhog. That is the anartha. Tuch asakti, that is the fault of the heart. And he gives the example, just like a expert physician, he doesn't, he does not completely cures the disease from the heart and not doesn't keep something. No, completely drives it out. So we should also drive this out. A devotee's faith in the conclusion of devotional service is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Shraddha Shabda Vishwas Kahe Sudrida Nishchay Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. Shraddha is confident, firm faith. Here Shraddha is what? Firm faith. That by rendering devotional service to the loving service to Krishna, one automatically performs all subsidiary activities. Such faith is favorable to the discharge of devotional service. The need for total surrender is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yes, one has to, the development of faith should ultimately lead to surrender. We should have faith in Krishna, that Krishna, when he says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya, Mamekam Sharanam Braja, Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo, that I will free from all sins. I will take care of you. So that firm faith should be there. So total surrender. शरण लान करे कृष्ण आत्मसमर्पण कृष्ण तारे करे तत्काले आत्मसम. When the devotee fully surrenders unto Krishna's lotus feet, Krishna Atmasamarpan, Krishna accepts him as one of his confidential associates. Tare kare, Krishna tare kare tatkal Atmasaman. So as long as we don't come to this full surrender, to that degree, ye yata mam prapadyate. But when 100% full surrender comes, then Krishna considers him Atmasama. That's the point. One should give up atheistic philosophies with repentance as described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Paramat vichar gele kari matravad, kahan mukti pabe, kahan Krishna prasad. The atheists headed by the Mayavadi philosophers do not care for liberation or Krishna's birth. They simply continue to put forward false arguments and counter theories to atheistic philosophy, not considering or engaging in spiritual matters. The atheist headed by Mayavadi philosophers. Mayavadis are also considered atheist. So they don't get liberation because they are Krishna Pradi. And they don't get Krishna's mercy because they offend the lotus feet. Anadrita Yushmadangreya. So that's why one should, with repentance, give up this atheistic tendencies which we have. And, then we can attain Krishna's mercy. A devotee should always be neutral. Nirapeksha nahile dharma na yaya rakshana. Without being neutral, one cannot protect religious principles. So if you are, showing favors, or he's my disciple, let me show favors, then that will not help. That will not help. That's not good. You cannot protect your religious principles there. That's the point being made. A devotee should be afraid of insulting other Vaishnavas as stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Mahantera pamana e desha grame hoy, ek janara dosha sabadesha ujhade. Wherever an advanced devotee is insulted, for one man's fault, the entire town or place is afflicted. The place is afflicted, the town can be also afflicted if he's a Mahanta. How important it is. Nityananda, Haridas Thakur was, insulted by Ramchandra Khan, and that his entire village had to be abandoned. He further also insulted Nityanand Prabhu when Nityanand Prabhu came to his place. And he lost everything. So that's how, insulting a Vaishnava, that can be the effect. A devotee's duty is to practice forgiveness and show mercy, as stated in Chaitanya. Bhakta swabhava agya dosha shama kare, dine daya kare e sadhu sabhav hai. Prabhu bole vipra sab danta parihari, bhaje giya Krishna sarva bhute daya kari. The characteristics of a pure devotee is that he excuses any offense by an ignorant rascal. So this is the character. You should, forgive and forget. Not only you should forgive, but you should forgive and forget. So this is how our attitude should be. It is a characteristic of all saintly persons to be kind towards the poor and fallen. Dine daya kari, a sadhu sabhav. The Lord said, O Brahmana, give up all your pride and serve Krishna by showing mercy to all. Okay. 24. The devotee's duty is to preach by setting good example. Achara prachara namera kare dui karya, tumi sarva guru, tumi jagatera arya. This is in respect to Haridas Thakur. You simultaneously perform both duties in relation to the holy name by your personal behavior and by your preaching. Therefore, you are the spiritual master of the entire world. Tumi sarva guru, tumi jagatera arya. You are the most advanced devotee in the world. So Haridas Thakur is to not only preach, but he is to also practice what he preaches. Okay. A devotee's duty is to follow Vaishnava etiquette. Tatapi bhakta swabhava maryada rakshan, maryada palan hoy sadhura bhushan. It is the characteristic of the devotee to observe and protect the Vaishnava etiquette. Maintenance of Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of the devotee. So this is with respect to, again, Sanatana Goswami, that he used to, not go from the Simhadwar because he used to feel that, I'm very fallen, and the Jagannath Pujaris, go back and forth. So he used to take the long route to come. So following the Vaishnava etiquette is very, very important. And मर्यादा पालन है साधुर भूषण. One should consider a Vaishnava's body spiritual. नचेतन चरितामृत अंतिम. Again, Sanatana Goswami. प्रभु कहे वैष्णव देह प्राकृत कबुना अप्राकृत देह भक्तेर चिन चिद आनंदमय. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said the body of a devotee is never material. It is considered to be transcendental, full of spiritual bliss. Especially the body of a very advanced devotee who has attained bhava, his body is completely spiritualized and it's chinmay, aprakrita deha it is. And sadhakas also we should consider that, but it is getting purified. We have to remember that. There is a need of worship in a solid place after completing one's activities of household life and sense gratification. Yes, solitary worship is recommended after going through the grahastha life of sense gratification. एक वत्सर रूप गोस्वामी गौड़ विलंब हयला कुटुंबेर स्थिति अर्थ विभाग करिला दिला गौड़े ए अर्थ छिल ताहा आनायला कुटुंब ब्राह्मण देवाले भांति दिला सब मन कथा गोसाईने करी निर्वाहन निश्चिंत हन शीघ्र आयला वृंदावन. Srila Rupa Goswami was delayed in Bengal for a year because he was dividing his money among his relatives to situate them in their proper positions. He collected water money he had accumulated in Bengal and divided it among his relatives, the Brahmanas, and the temples. Thus, after finishing all the tasks he had on his mind, he returned to Vrindavan fully satisfied. So, he should complete all his activities of householder life, settle them nicely, then go to Vrindavan. In fact, he had already gone to Vrindavan first time when he left Nawab Hussain Shah's work. And that time also he divided the wealth and distributed it. But after being in Vrindavan also, he returned back, and then whatever remaining wealth he had, he again, uh, he divided this in his relatives, Brahmanas and temples. And then after finishing all his tasks, then he fully more further renounced. A devotee should give up the desire for fame. This is both for grahasthas and for sannyasis. महानुभावर ए सहज स्वभाव है अपनार गुण नाही आपने के कहे. This is the natural characteristic of those advanced devotional service. They do not personally speak about their own good qualities. So this is very, very important. A devotee should have no faith in worldly poetry. ग्राम्य कविर कवित्य सुनिते होय दुख विदग्ध आत्मीय वाक्य सुनिते होय सुख sorry. Hearing the poetry of a person who has no transcendental knowledge and who writes about relationship between man and woman simply causes unhappiness, whereas hearing the words of devotee fully absorbed in ecstatic love causes great happiness. So one should not have love for mundane poetry, but and all the Vaishnava acharyas, yes, that gives happiness. This should give us distress. It is an offense to disobey the order of the spiritual master. Guru upeksha kaile ache phal hai kramaye ishwar paryanta aparadha thekhaya. If one spiritual master rejects him, one becomes so fallen that he, like Ramchandra Puri, commits offense even to the personality of Godhead. So when one disobeys the order of the spiritual master, he commits offense to the spiritual master. And then, Ramchandra Puri, it is mentioned that he fell down. And it is interesting. It's not that Ramchandra Puri, stopped following the regulative principles or eloped with a lady or got married or committed any sinful activities like illicit sex or whatever it is. No. Ramchandra Puri, after he found fault with his spiritual master Madhavendra Puri, he started finding fault with all Vaishnavas. That was his business. And it went on to such a degree that he started uh, finding fault with even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that's why it is mentioned. If one rejects a spiritual master, he becomes fallen. And Ramchandra Puri is the uh, classic example of this. He should give up the desire for liberation and pride of learning. Chaitanya Charitamrit, Antya. रामदास यदि प्रथम प्रभुर मिलाइला महाप्रभु अधिक तांड्रा कृपा न करिला अंतरे मुमुक्षु तेनो विद्या गर्भवान. When Ramdas Vishwas met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord did not show him any special mercy, although this was their first meeting. Within his heart, Ramdas Vishwas was an impersonalist whose desire to merge of the Lord, and he was very proud of his learning. So when Raghunath Das Goswami, after staying in Jagannath Puri, once was visiting Mahaprabhu in staying in Vrindavan, was visiting Jagannath Puri. On the way, he met a Vaishnava, and this Vaishnava was very humble. He said, "Let me carry your bag." And all throughout the journey, he was taking the name of the Lord. And Raghunath Das Goswami was very impressed. But when they arrived, Mahaprabhu went and embraced Raghunath Das Goswami, whereas he did not even look at this person. And Raghunath Das Goswami could not understand why did Mahaprabhu do this. Because Mahaprabhu is Antaryami, he knew the heart of everyone. And he could understand that this person is taking the name of the Lord, but he has a desire for liberation. He wants to merge in the body of the Lord. And he had pride in learning. So one should give up this. That's what is being mentioned. Humility is essential for a devotee. Premera swabhava yahan premera sambandh se mane Krishna mora nahi prema gandh. Wherever there is a relationship of love of Godhead, the natural symptoms are that the devotee does not think himself a devotee, but always thinks that he has not even a drop of love for Krishna. So this is the prema swabhav. This is the swabhav of one who is in prema. Okay. So any questions you have up till now? Any clarifications of these points? They're quite simple. But if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hands. Next, a devotee should give up the desire for conquest. I know better and I want to establish my point. Digvijay karibe vidyara karya nahi, Ishvara bhajila sei vidya satya kahe. Conquering the world means by means of material existence is not desirable. If one engages himself in devotional service, his education is perfected. This Digvijay Pandit, Kashmir Digvijay Pandit, he had come to conquer the entire Bharat. But Mahaprabhu as a student conquered him and then he instructed him here. A devotee should know the Lord is one without a second and understand his relationship with all living entities. So this, I will just read the translation. My dear sir, there is only one God for all living entities. The difference between the Muslim God and the Hindi God is in name only. According to all scriptures, Quran or Puran, God is one. He is non-dual, Advaita, eternal, transcendental, absolute truth, infallible and perfectly complete. And in that capacity, he resides in everyone's heart. The Supreme Lord's transcendental name and qualities are glorified throughout the world according to the respective scriptures. The Lord accepts everyone's individual mood of surrender. By committing violence to others, you commit violence to him. Oh, so this was the Chand Kazi dialogue, I think, between Quran. So there Mahaprabhu is instructing. How a devotee should be always firmly fixed on the path of devotional services is seen in the following verse of Chaitanya Bhagavat. One should be firmly fixed. Haridas Thakur is saying, खंड खंड होय दे आया yadi pran, tabu ami vadane na chadi harinam. Even if my body is cut into pieces and I lose my life, I will never give up chanting of Lord Krishna's holy name. How a devotee should deal with the enemies described in Chaitanya Bhagavat. E sab jivera Krishna kare prasad, mora droha na ho, e sabar aparad. O Krishna, be merciful on these living entities, forgive their offense for torturing me. So this is how we should deal with the enemy. Haridas Thakur is being beaten in the marketplace and he's praying for them who are inflicting pain on them. Oh Krishna, be merciful on them, forgive them for their offense, forgive them. So this is their mood. Uh, this is the mood of a devotee, how he should be. Then text 37. A devotee should give up the symptoms of pride such as desire for fame and cheating. He is presenting himself as an important person by imitating some religious sentiments. Actually, this ignorant and deceitful Brahmana has no love for Krishna. To achieve the devotional service of Lord Krishna, one has to be free from duplicity. Chaitanya Bhagavat it is. I don't know in what context this whole discussion is, but this is very clear that one should be free from duplicity and one should not show that he is a very important person. 38. A devotee must reject caste consciousness in his spiritual life. Tatapi se ऐसे पूज्य सर्व शास्त्र का कहे उत्तम कुलिते जन्मी श्री कृष्ण बजय कुले तारा की करीबे नर के ते मजे. If a devotee of the Lord is born in a low class family, he is still worthy of worship. That is the injunction of the scriptures. Sarva Shastra kahe. And if someone is born in a high class family but does not worship the lotus feet of Krishna, then his high birth is useless and he falls to hell. So a devotee should the benefits of loud congregational chanting of the holy names is described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. The Puranas say that the person who chants the Lord's holy name loudly is 100 times more pious that than the person who chants to himself. O Brahmana, listen carefully to the reason behind this. One who chants softly liberates only himself, but one who loudly chants the name of Govinda liberates himself along with all living entities who hear him. This is instruction giving to the Brahmanas by Haridas Thakur. A devotee should not carry the burden of scriptures like an ass, rather he should understand their purport. Shastrera na jane marma, adhyapana kare, gardhabhare praye ena shastra bhahi mare. Who teaches scripture without knowing the purport is like an ass, garbhadevara praye, the lord of all scriptures. How a devotee should give up enviousness is explained in Chaitanya Bhagavat. Bhaktahina karma kona phala nahi pai, se karma bhaktahina parmahimsaya. Activities that are devoid of bhakti produce no result. Such activities result in violence to others. So this is how one should, only practice bhakti and give up enviousness. Paramahimsa. A devotee should give up seva pras or offenses in the service of the deity. Seva vigrara prati another ar Vishnu sane aprada sarvatatahar. One who has no respect for the deity form of the Lord is constantly committing offenses at the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. If a person is internally situated as a Vaishnava, even though externally he maintains attachment for sense gratification, then he is counted as a devotee. Madhyam. Pundrik Vidyanidhi dressed like a materialist. No one was able to recognize that he was a great Vaishnava. He came to Navdeep and remained there incognito. Everyone saw him as a grossly materialistic person. So internally, a Vaishnava might be very deeply situated. Externally, he might be, having a lot of royal opulence. So one should not judge a Vaishnava based on externals. Uh, one should see the internals, and that's why this is enacted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by showing the example of Pundrik Vidyanidhi. A devotee should not maintain false pride due to material education and so on. Ki karibe vidya dhana rupa yasha kule, ahankar bade sab padaye nirmule. What is the use of education, wealth, beauty, fame, and high birth? They only increase one's pride to the point of his fall down. So they all become a pride for his fall down. Janma Ishvara Shuta Shribir, Edamadam Madapuban, Nevartum Abhyadatum Vai, Pam Akinchana Gochara. Madapuman, you become mother because Janma, Aishwarya, Shuta, and Shri. Okay. 45th. A devotee should remain fixed in the principles of Vaishnava. He should not support various opinions for social reasons. Sometimes he takes straw in his mouth and sometimes he beats me with a stick. Therefore, he is not fit to see me. The Lord continued. Wherever he goes, he mixes with those people and talks like them. He is an offender at the bhakti. That is why he is forbidden to me. Mukunda. So Mukunda, we used to worship Lord Chaitanya and be in the association devotees, and then he used to go to other association. Oh, your association is right. So like that, being a little innocent, he used to do that. So that is why Mahaprabhu is teaching through Mukunda that uh, we should not mix with others and talk to them in there and accept whatever they say, but one should follow the principles of Vaishnava. 6. The fault of taking sides against a Vaishnava is described in Papishta Eka Vaishnavara Paksha Anya Vaishnavara Ninda Sei Yashaya. A sinful person who takes the side of one Vaishnava and condemns another vanquished. Generally, what happens, I'm just elaborating on this one point because this concerns Vaishnava Ninda, that sometimes one, with respect to one issue, there might be two different opinions and there can be clashes. And because of this, one takes side and starts criticizing the side. One should never do this. I'll give you the example of Prabhupada when he was leaving this world. This is last manifest pastime. Prabhupada had a desire to go parikrama for Vrindavan on the bullock cart. And some of the devotees were of the opinion they should fulfill Prabhupada's desire. But the other devotees, no, it is going to hurt the fragile body of Prabhupada. We should not. Others say, no, Prabhupada is expressing his desire, it is our duty to fulfill his desire. Like that, there were these two groups. And then ultimately, both of them came to Prabhupada and the net connection is a little something. So one should not take sides and commit offenses to other Vaishnavas. Never take sides. we don't know, what is Krishna's plan. So one should be very, very humble. And this is very important point, which can be elaborated quite a lot. But I'm just making this important statement. That's it. A devotee should not commit sinful activities by accepting the holy name of the Lord. Prabhu bole tora ar na karish pap, jagai madai bole ar nare bap. The Lord said, do not commit further sin. Jagai madai replied, never again, O Lord. So once you take up devotional service, one should not commit any further sins. How a devotee should remain aloof from the rules and regulations is explained in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. All the rules and regulations are servants of bhakti. Yata vidhi nished sakale bhakti das. One who has trouble accepting this is destroyed. Ihata yahara dukkha se yaya nash. One who is blinded by false pride can never understand the secret. Vishaya madhanda sabha e marmana jane. Being proud of his children, wealth, and high birth, he fails to recognize a Vaishnava. Suta dana kula made Vaishnava na chine. So, oh, I'm a Brahmana, I'm following all the rules and Brahmanas. These Vaishnavas, they're sentimentalist. So I'm born in a Brahmana family like that, Madanda, because of Suta, Dhana, Janma, Kula, you know, you know, even if he's following all the rules and regulations, but really all the rules and regulations are servants of bhakti. And devotee might not follow all the rules and regulations of Varnashram because he's following the highest principle is to remember Krishna. So like that, he should be aloof from the rules and regulations, and he should follow only those rules and regulations which help him to. A devotee should avoid conversing with the atheist, as stated in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Nagara halai kiba pashandi sambasha eva karane nahi prema prakasha. Did I speak with an atheist in town? Is that why love of Godhead is not manifest today? So when we speak to atheists, this is the effect, what can happen. Giving up relationships with non-devotees is most essential. Srila Advaita Acharya gives the following. Mora putra hoy va kinkar Vaishnava paradi muni na dekho gochar. Even if he is my son or servant, I will never see the face of a person who offends Vaishnavas. So this is when you offend a Vaishnava, you think you are a Vaishnava and you offend another Vaishnava. The moment you offend a Vaishnava, you don't become a Vaishnava now. Now you're not a Vaishnava. So this is how uh, Advaita Acharya is saying. There is no comparison between bhakti and pious activities. And if you compare, you're a pradi. You cannot compare to 1 crore Ashwamedha yajnas. You cannot compare that. No comparison. प्रभु बोले तब करी ना कर है बल विष्णु की सर्वश्रेष्ठ ध्यान केवल. Don't think that you can be powerful performing austerities. Know certain that devotion Lord Vishnu is holy. The hypocrites and cheaters sometimes advance themselves as incarnation and thus increase their pride. A devotee should cautiously avoid their company. Sometimes a group of evil persons who try to mislead people in general for spiritual path with wrong advice. Madhya madhya matra kata papa gana giya loka nashta kare apnara lokaya. These sinners cheat people by claiming to be Lord Ram. उदर भारण लागी पापिष्ट सकले रघुनाथ करे अपनार कहे बले. In India, it's common. Prabhupada says in India, gods are manufactured every day. So these hypocrites, dharmadvajis, so-called, religionists who claim themselves as God, we should be very, very careful, you know. Devotees should constantly take the shelter of the holy names while passing their lives without duplicity or sin. There is no greater religious principle than this. Chaitanya Bhagavat says, Ataiva Kali Yuga Nama Yagyasar Arako no Dharma Kaile Nahi Hoya Par Ratri Dene Nama Loe Kai Khyatya Sute Tahara Mahima Veda Nahi Pare Dite. Therefore, in Kali Yuga, chanting the holy name is the essential religious principle. No other religious practice can help one cross the material ocean of nescience. Even the Vedas are unable to sufficiently glorify one who chants the Lord's holy names day and night in all situations. Now, this is 53 common, lifestyles which uh, one should follow is given for both sannyasis as well as grahastas. Sannyasis as well as grahastas. Now, after that, he says, human beings should worship Krishna by considering the natural qualities and accepting the livelihoods of the previous and the later margins. Pure devotional service is proportionately enhanced by following a proper occupation, Vritti. Otherwise, it is never achieved. So, if you are not situated according to your Vritti, then you cannot make advancement to pure devotional service. Pure devotional service. So that ends the Bhaktyaloka Sadhu Vritti discussion. Priya Mataji, you have a question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. You have very beautifully explained the entire topic. I just skipped the last sentence, that occupation one, if you could just explain in brief. The last sentence now, what is?
It's basically that one should, you know, uh, pure devotional service is proportionally enhanced by following a proper occupation. We spoke about our swabhava. Based on our swabhava, we do particular type of swakarma. And that should be, if our nature is that of a businessman, and we are told to, instead of collect funds for the temple, we are told to, do research in Bhagavatam, then it's incompatible to our nature. And being incompatible to our nature, what happens is we are not satisfied internally. And that's why our bhajan, there is some disturbance in our bhajan. So that's why the gross body, certain needs are there, subtle body needs are there. Both should be in line so that we can make advancement in pure devotional service. That is the point Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making. Any other questions anyone else has? Okay, so that ends the discussion on Bhaktyaloka. Bhaktyaloka is very, very deep. It's a very vast topic, which is only dealing with verses 2 and 3. One should study Updeshamrit regularly, and as and when one finds time, one should go deeper into studying the second and the third verses of Sri Updeshamrit so that one can get a deeper understanding, because all these six faults destroy one's devotion, and all these six qualities, assure complete success in pure devotional service. So one should repeatedly study them and try to understand, and then one will able to attain pure devotion to Lord Hari. Thank you very, very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Shri Bhaktyaloka ki jai. Hare Krishna.